Hello everyone! Today we're diving into I Am a Mom Season 2. But before we get into the latest developments, let's quickly recap Season 1. Ready? Let's go! In a post-apocalyptic world, our protagonist, the Zombie Queen, was in the middle of transforming into a zombie when she gave birth to her daughter, Chuck Bach. Despite her transformation, the Zombie Queen's intense maternal instincts kicked in. She fought off the one-armed king's attempt to take over her body. She absorbed some of his powers, preserving her human intelligence even while her zombie form was slowly taking over. Chuck Bach, born under such extraordinary circumstances, also gained monstrous powers, although her parents were unaware of her potential for quite some time. Gamdal, a lone wanderer scavenging for supplies, stumbled upon the Zombie Queen and Chuck Bach. What started as curiosity turned into genuine admiration. He saw the bond between them, and despite the danger, he chose to stay with them. This decision didn't come easy. He was ostracized by his old group, who were terrified of monsters, and was given an ultimatum: choose the Zombie Queen or stay with his team. He chose them, leaving his old life behind. As their little family began to form, Gamdal scavenged for food and supplies while the Zombie Queen protected them from monsters and other threats, despite her limitations, unable to go out in the sun and only able to survive by feeding on monsters. Life was peaceful, albeit strange, as they found comfort in each other. Yet, Chuck Bach's curiosity often led her to explore outside, and she unknowingly attracted danger. But just as the threat would appear, a mysterious white-haired woman named Hira would intervene. Hira was drawn to Chuck Bach because she saw her own lost daughter in the child, and she began to secretly protect her. Chuck Bach's wandering led to a shocking discovery. Her finger began to turn purple, signaling the start of her monsterification. The family was deeply worried. With no time to waste, they set out to Hope Village, hoping to find a doctor who could help. But they had nothing of value to offer in exchange for treatment. So they planned to visit an underground dungeon, which was rumored to house rare treasures. The journey into the dungeon was fraught with danger. Inside, they encountered a powerful monster who was controlled by the one-armed king's forces. However, things took an unexpected turn when Chuck Bach snuck along, hiding inside Gamdal's backpack. Once discovered, the situation escalated quickly. The Zombie Queen had no choice but to fight off the dungeon's terrifying inhabitants to protect her daughter. As the tension mounted, Chuck Bach was captured by the monsters, but she was rescued just in time by Hira and Gamdal. The dungeon master, a powerful being who had been under the control of the one-armed king, was freed from his torment and joined the family's cause. The dark secret of Hope Village. After a harrowing battle in the dungeon, the family made their way to Hope Village. What was supposed to be a sanctuary quickly revealed its true nature as a deceptive farm controlled by parasites that had taken over the villagers' minds. The Zombie Queen, unable to enter human settlements, fought her way through the king's subordinates to reunite with her family. At the village, Gamdal and Hira, with the help of Youngju, an insider who knew the dark truth, began to uncover the village's horrible secret. The village chief was nothing more than a puppet, manipulated by the one-armed king's parasitic control. The village that promised safety was actually a breeding ground for the king's forces. When the Zombie Queen arrived, a fierce battle broke out, with the villagers, now controlled by the parasites, turning on them. The team fought valiantly, pushing back the infected villagers and freeing them from the control of the one-armed king's parasitic influence. It was only after defeating the king's subordinates, who were secretly controlling the village, that the family realized the scale of the battle they were about to face. The final confrontation. As the battle escalated, one-armed king revealed his true plan. He intended to use Chuck Bach to become even more powerful by controlling her. However, the Zombie Queen, desperate to protect her daughter, decided to surrender herself. But in that critical moment, the doctor, who had been working on an antidote, injected it into the king. Though it didn't fully stop the king, it weakened him enough for the family to mount a counterattack. The antidote was meant to be their salvation, But even after being injected, one-armed king absorbed the parasites he had spread and grew stronger. He tried to take over the zombie queen's body, using her as a vessel for his power. But just as things seemed hopeless, Hira, who had been fighting one-armed king's subordinates, intervened. In a desperate act, she severed the king's tentacles and freed the zombie queen, allowing her to fight back. The battle between the zombie queen and one-armed king was so intense, filled with emotion and rage. Hira's intervention was a game-changer, wasn't it? Chuckbox Awakening. During the battle, the zombie queen and her family began to overpower the one-armed king. But in his final attempt to control everyone, he tried to regain his control over the villagers. However, to his surprise, Chuckbox used her newfound powers to break the king's influence over the villagers, freeing them from his grasp. This was a huge moment in the series. Chuckbox's powers had developed to the point where she could stand up to the king's influence. Despite this victory, the one-armed king managed to escape by severing a small part of his body, which meant that the battle was far from over. The family, though victorious, knew that a larger, more dangerous fight loomed on the horizon: the aftermath and new beginnings. In the aftermath of the battle, the doctor warned Gamdol and the others that they had no time to rest. More powerful enemies were coming for them. The family was forced to leave Hope Village, but not before the doctor offered the zombie queen a chance to regain her humanity. The antidote he created using Chuckbox's blood could potentially reverse her transformation, but he cautioned that the risks were unknown. After a moment of hesitation, the zombie queen took the antidote, hoping to be able to live a normal life in daylight and to speak freely again. But as days passed, the antidote showed no immediate effects, and the zombie queen began to weaken. In a heartbreaking moment, she collapsed, blood pouring from her mouth. But when the family woke up the next morning, they discovered that the zombie queen was missing. Panic set in as they searched for her, and eventually, they found her on the rooftop. In a stunning twist, the zombie queen had evolved once again, overcoming her weakness to sunlight. She stood there, bathed in the light, fully alive and more powerful than ever. It was a moment of pure joy and triumph for the family. Can you imagine the relief they must have felt when they saw her in the sunlight? That was a turning point for them, wasn't it? Season 1 of I Am a Mom was a roller coaster of emotions, filled with intense battles, shocking twists, and moments of pure familial love. The zombie queen, Chuckbox, and their loved ones have come a long way, but the threat of the one-armed king is far from over. Season 2 promises even more action and heartbreaking moments as the family faces new challenges. What do you think will happen in Season 2? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching this recap. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.